Peace family, we are back on another course 5 on helping you develop a full online program. You know what? Scratch that. We're going to develop a U program. We're going to develop, regardless if it's a program, regardless if it's online or something that goes in a brick and mortar, regardless if it's in a school, I'm going to help you today create a concept. To create a concept, produce the material, how to plan, how to create, how to execute. One thing, I truly say this all the time, the biggest curse of entrepreneurs is the curse of execution. We do so much, so much, and if you're in the early stages of entrepreneurship, if you're a veteran entrepreneur, if you're a multimillionaire, there's always something that you can learn from other experts in the fields, other gurus in the field to be able to help you create, plan, and produce higher value, higher quality, and higher performing content, because content is king. Content is king for this year. Content is king for this age. So I want to help you get to the point where we are creating content. Let's get to this work. So high level planning. There's 3 stages to be able to create content on a high level. And the first stage is high level planning. High level planning is very important because before you can produce the content, before you can deliver the content, you have to get to the place of planning the actual content. So I want to write with a different marker because the first step is understanding who your audience is. This is your happy audience. This is your happy audience. Who are they? Where do they shop? What are they doing? This is the they. This is where you really define. I want you to define the they. The they. I want you to define the they. So the they, now I'm all messed up. The they is the demographic. The they is the people. These are the people that you're selling your products to, that you're working on, that you're teaching, that you're engineering their products for, whatever that is. The people that you're essentially serving, the people that will maybe be paying you. So first understand where your audience is and define your audience. That's step 1. Step 2 is really understanding, let me check the overall transformation, because it used to be 4 steps that I took, but I found a way in terms of productivity to cut it down to 3 steps. And transformation is key. What is the overall transformative process? What are the things that you're going to take them through? What are the things that you're going to deliver? How are they going to get from the point A to the point B? How are they going to get from their pain point to their position? How are they going to get to their dream, to their actual destiny? And I mean something that they're dreaming about and something that they're actually living. So this is the transformative, I call it the transformative process, or the overall value, or the overall improvement, in any other word that could be potentially synonymous to that. And synonymous really just means the same, like it's all the same. Step 3, in my opinion, is what is the container. And I don't mean the actual container, but I do kind of mean the actual container to the same point. Now, you're not going to put everything in a container, but some entrepreneurs out there, some people are actually going to put things in containers. You may be a hairstylist and you're putting things into a container to be able to help people's hair or lotions or all these other different things. But what I mean is, what is the container? Are you writing a book? Are you creating an online program? Are you producing a video? Are you writing a curriculum? Are you, what is the last one? Are you creating a series of online courses? Or are you creating some type of teacher manual to now help people get through this transformative process, and you're helping teachers get from the place where they're a first-year teacher to this transformative process where they understand now how to relate to students, how to reach students, how to connect with different students. That's the transformative process that you have to be willing to take people through. And as we're continuing to move forward, how I built my program, a lot of the programs, is by understanding first what is, like, who's the learner, and there's a difference between the learner versus the maker, in my opinion. The learner is the who, and then the maker is the what. Who's going to actually be learning the curriculum, and then who's going to be, or what are we actually going to be making to be able to fit the need of the learner. So what I did is that I saw a need in students not really understanding that 2 plus 2 can translate to them making a little bit more money. So really financial literacy as a whole. So what I did is I found a subset group of students, a population, as we call in statistics, and I got these students. My transformative process was on day 1, they're gonna know 0% or 10%, and on day, let's say day 18, they were going to learn, this is point B, day 18, they're going to learn at an average of 90% more in terms of financial literacy, budgeting, cash flow, debt management, asset allocation, all these different things. And these were high school students. So my container, the difference with me is my container wasn't actually a container, but it all contained info on how I was going to teach them. So what I did is that I put everything in terms of in form of a curriculum, and we started to market it to different schools. And what we started to see is that schools loved it because I started to show the transformative process and the overall value that I was creating in schools. And what I started to see is that I taught towards 2 things. I taught towards the core skills, a core skill set with a customized process, and it got to the point where I was able to deliver quality content through my container. So what I did is that I understood the core skills. I taught core skills in a customized process, my process, the Shine Institute way. And then what we did is we found a way to customize this process to the point where we were delivering consistent quality content. And that's the overall planning phase. How can I get people from point A to point B by teaching them core skills and core abilities to now create content and through a container, through some method, to be able to deliver the value through this customized process. That's step 1, people. So step 2 is the actual production, the research and development of the actual curriculum. But before we get into the production, I want you to understand one method that I like to use, and I call it the clothesline method. And I learned this from a gentleman some years ago, and it's been very, very helpful for me to really be able to develop anything, in my opinion. And whether you're developing a series of learning activities, whether you're developing a series of really anything, this clothesline method is going to help you get people from point A to point B, and then kind of create your lessons surrounded around how are you going to teach those custom skills as a part of the custom process, as a part of the custom content through the container that you're going to be able to deliver. So one thing that I want to talk about before that is this is really the method. So this is the method, and you don't have to use a clothesline. Sometimes we use a wall. Sometimes we use sheets of paper. Sometimes we use boards. Right now, obviously, we're using a whiteboard. But this is understanding first, where are my students? Because at the end of the day, if you're creating something to be able to teach, creating something to be able to deliver, at the end of the day, regardless if it's a kindergartner, a middle schooler, an 8th grader, a college student, an adult, an old elderly person, or a senior citizen, somebody's learning something, and they're all students. So you have to assess, quantified metrics, and quantify, where are they now? Based upon the core skills that I want them to be able to learn, where are they now? And this is the transformative process that I'm going to take them off, because where do I want, or where do I expect, where do I plan for them, where do I want, expect for them to be? So all of this is asking is, hey, I have this demographic, these qualified students to be a part of this customized and transformative process. What am I going to do from this point to this point to be able to get them to a place where they're realizing that they're being successful, and then also that you can measure the success that these students have. And the overall steps is you want to be able to first see where you want your students to go, but what you really want to see is what is it going to take, because all you're doing is putting in, remember that container that I was telling you about? Remember all of those containers? Horizontally, you're creating a sequence of events. Horizontally is a sequence. Vertically, under this sequence, so say that's A, say that's B, say that's C, say that's D, and say that's E. What we call it in the educational field is a gradual release, because when I was growing up, maybe you were a little too old, or maybe you were a little bit too young. When I was growing up, we played a game called Tekken. And what Tekken was, it was like a fighting game. You'd fight different people throughout the game. It was on the PlayStation or sometime on Sega Genesis. If you don't know what a Sega Genesis is, Google it. And what we did is that we fought the different people throughout the game. And if you won the fight or match that you were in, you would get to a place where you would have to win a certain amount of matches to fight like the big boss. Like it'd be these really big people that are really good. It's kind of like you would beat all of the rookies, and then you would get to the amateurs, and then you would have to fight the pros. Now, I'm saying this now, just being very transparent. I never got to the point where I beat the big boss, and just maybe that wasn't my game. But however, I've learned as an entrepreneur that I beat some big bosses in entrepreneurship. So maybe the Tekken game wasn't for me, but the entrepreneurial game has done me very well. So what I see this to be is that you're taking people through the process, you're taking people through the gradual process before they can get to the BB, this the big boss. They gotta learn this. Before you can get people to understand investments and stocks and trading and all that, they have to first understand like cash flow. And when they understand cash flow, maybe we can start teaching them budgeting. When they understand budgeting, maybe we can start talking a little bit about credit and a little bit about debt management. So this is D-manage. So debt management. And then when we start talking about debt management, now we're starting to learn a little bit about debt and currency and all these different things. So maybe we can talk a little bit about real estate. And then we're at the place that we've gotten to the big bosses, people. We've gotten to the big bosses, and now we're talking about investments. Because your students, whoever these people are, as a part of the process that you create, as a part of the core skills that you've created, you've gotten people from point A to point B to point C to point D to point E, and now they're at the place where you expect them to be because they've learned all of the fundamental skills through this educational process and this system that you've been able to create. Now, the second step of this overall method is the vertical movement. And the vertical, I know we're running out of space, so the vertical, this is the vertical, and I'm gonna write vertical horizontally, but just know that it goes vertically. So let's say we're talking about budgeting. All of the things under budgeting, what do you have to learn? You have to learn all of these different things, all of these different skills, all these different facts, terms, all of these different terminologies as a part of budgeting. So your horizontal is the sequence, the flow of education, the flow of experience, the flow of this overall gradual process. The vertical is everything that essentially comes under the flow. Any lessons, any materials, any resources, all the different things that you're going to need as a part of the educational process. You know, I believe that the reason why education is so important and the reason why this method really is so important is because it takes people through the overall process of what they need to be successful. It doesn't just, hey, we have this overall idea. It takes people through the process of their idea, and it helps them flush out every single piece to be able to really show someone what is it going to take. You know what? Let's write that. What is it going to take? I think a lot of times as entrepreneurs, as business owners, as people, we have these big, hairy, audacious goals, and objectives and plans and dreams. We have these are the big, like, this is the big dream. And then we have this, like, we don't have a plan, people. It's this big gap. And then we wonder why we're not meeting our dreams, or why we're not meeting our goals, because we haven't taken people through the steps of, yo, what is this actually going to take? What steps is this going to take? A lot of people want to create, execute, develop, all of these different things, cultivate. It's like, hey, I want to change the world. Well, how are you going to do it? I don't know. I want to speak to people. Who are you going to speak to? Where are you going to speak? What are you going to speak about? How long are you going to speak? How are you going to ensure that these people get from point A to point B? What are all of the steps that you're going to be able to take? Now we get into the production, the R&D, the production of the actual material. One of the biggest things, and I always say the biggest things because I just feel like everything is big as you're creating content, as you're creating value for people. But this is a really big thing. It's the production and is really producing the material. A lot of people produce material, but the material that they produce isn't really conducive to the overall goal, the overall vision, to what the B was going to be. So they created all of this stuff without planning, and now it doesn't align with what the objective is. So now they just have a bunch of stuff with a lot of substance, with no way of implementing people to get them towards their objective. So today I'm going to help you implement to get you towards your overall objective. And how we're going to do that, I'm going to draw, you know it, another stick figure. So you want to figure out here, say, feel, think, see. These are the different things. I call this the empathy map, and remind you earlier, I learned this a few years ago, but it works for me, and I do believe that it has the potential, if you apply it, to work for you as well. So the empathy map really represents your overall target audience. What are they feeling? What are they seeing? What are they hearing? What are they saying? What are they, those are all of them. So all of these different things, how are you creating an experience within your classroom, whether that classroom is a conference, whether it's a training program, whether that classroom is an actual classroom, a physical classroom, whether that's an online program. How are you creating substance and material that is conducive to all of these different things? What are your students feeling? When they hear your speech, when they hear your material or see your material, what are they seeing? What are they saying about you? What are they saying, period? Are they interacting with you? Are they interacting with the material? What do you want them to be thinking? And as you work through all of these different things, I'm going to write it in a different color. As you work through all of these different things, it helps you produce the actual material. So it helps you put in context. It puts you in context of the actual lessons, steps, and actual tangible material that you need to be able to hit all of these empathetic massive action plans, right? So hearing, saying, feeling, seeing, thinking. Every time I create content, I'm going to create in a way where you're seeing me do something, you're hearing me, you're feeling my energy, you're saying probably that guy looks good, he looks like he's really dope, and all of these different things. So what experience, really the experience do you want to be able to create in the class? What feel do you want to create? What do you want them to hear? Because I feel like a lot of people make the mistake with, hey, I'm saying this, but you're hearing something completely different. True impact is based upon what I'm saying, you're hearing and understanding and feeling and really like understanding and processing what I'm saying. That's impact. And we're going to talk about impact and the stages of impactful teaching in another lesson. But in terms of producing the material, I want you to be able to look at these different things. And one more step before we depart each other in this course, I'm going to give you 3 tips. And I'm writing a whole bunch of markers because it's important in the educational process to be able to switch it up for you. So 3 tips. The first one is consistency. I hate, and I don't hate a lot. You know what? I'm not going to say hate. I dislike, I disagree, and I disapprove, if that's a word, with people that create inconsistent content. You have a worksheet with a border around it, and then you got lazy and then you forgot to put the border around it, the next worksheet. All of your fonts are off, all of the sizes are off. You wanted to put more on a paper, so you upped the font because you didn't have enough content to deliver. Look, keep everything consistent. Consistency is key to everything. The second one is contextualize. I need you to contextualize everything that you do, create a story around it, connect it with your reader or with your watcher or with your viewer, whoever that person is, and then your content. Please, people, spend time on your content. Have quality content. I've had so many people that have so much to say on the phone, but nothing of substance. Have you ever been on the phone with someone for an hour and you get off the phone and you was like, I feel like I wasted an hour of my life? That happens all the time when I'm watching Instagram videos, when I'm on Facebook, when I'm on YouTube, and when people are in my presence. So what I want you to do is create quality content for not to just talk, but I want you to be impactful in everything that you say. It's not about using a lot of words, it's about operating within a lot of impact. And that is this course, and I will see you guys next lesson.